Alright, all set. And 3, 2, 1, action! This is Cinematic Motif. Hello, I'm Monson, the film critic and the content creator, and welcome back to Cinematic Motif, where I introduce you one Taiwanese film as a motif and then explore other works of similar topic in cinema around the world. Alright, so by the time that I'm recording this episode, it's actually a typhoon day in Taiwan. I hope you're well. I hope everything is well if you're living in Taiwan. The disaster can be huge, but I have no idea because I'm pre-recording this episode. But you know, the wind, it was really windy when I came to RTI earlier this morning. So I hope you're safe and sound right now by the time of Saturday. I hope everything is well. Okay, so today we're going to talk about movies of espionage, which is actually a fancy word for spy. We're going to talk about movies related to spies because there is actually a big movie that was shot in Taiwan that was just released in Taiwan this week. So we're going to talk about that, and let's get started. Alright, so the first big movie that I'm going to talk to you about today is called Weekend in Taipei, or Weekend at Taipei. If you are pronouncing it in French or in Chinese, it's Taipei 追緝令. Now, I assume that you all know this big film producer and director called Luc Besson from France, and I think he's really fond of Taiwan. He once shot his movie Lucy partially in Taiwan, and for now, actually, I met Luc Besson last year in December, because he was trying to do the PR thing and publicity thing here in Taiwan for his previous movie called Dogman. I was there at the press screening, and Luc Besson was a really nice person. He was there to take photos with all the journalists, press, film critics, and the KOL there at the press screening. I think he's a very patient guy, I would say. And then this year, he brought back a movie that he produced from his company. It's called Weekend in Taipei, as I just said, Taipei 追緝令. So it is not directed by him, but directed by George Huang, who is a Taiwanese-American director. So this is a French-Taiwanese action film, and the script is co-written by Luc Besson and George Huang. This film also stars Luke Evans, a very big Hollywood star, and then the queen of drama here in Taiwan. We love her so much, Gui Lunmei. He's so beautiful. She's so beautiful, and she's really she's a very prestigious woman to an actress here in Taiwan. And of course, this film was the first ever Hollywood film that is totally filmed and set in Taipei, Taiwan. Very big one. So the plot goes like this. There's this American Drug Enforcement Administration agent, DEA agent called John Lawler, and he fell in love with Joey, a Taiwanese transporter of drugs, and but he was forced to separate it due to the disruption of criminal and corruption activities. Now, 15 years later, the duo is reunited again here in Taipei when John Lawler is on a mission to, as always we see in Hollywood movies, to fight a criminal, a drug dealer here in Taiwan. My favorite thing about this movie is the humor. I think it's very funny. It's very funny. It makes you laugh all the time, and also there are so many great action scenes in this movie, including the driving the car really fast here in Taiwan, which we have never seen in Taiwan, rarely seen in Taiwanese movies. And of course, there are some really humorous moments. For example, Luc Besson loved dolphins. We all know this, right? He even made a film about dolphins, the conservation of dolphins. Is called Le Grand Bleu in his early years. And in this movie, the kid in the movie wants to fight back and combat the big bad guy in the movie because this kid loves dolphins. I have no idea why. But anyway, I feel like that the script is of big problems. So the script is very cliche. There are so many things that looks so similar to many things that we've seen before. That's not a big problem, but it's logically, there are some logical fallacy, or I just mean the plot doesn't make sense. So many things in the plot that just not make sense, and I think it's a big problem. I would say it's a big problem. And but the biggest problem is that in this film, Taipei is not important at all. What I mean by this is that you can change the location of the story to any other parts of the world, and the story still exists. You know, it can still exist. So Taipei is not of great importance in this movie, and I think it's such a pity because the director I went to the press screening, and the director actually said that this film is a love letter to Taipei. But if it's a love letter to Taipei, it should have been, more Taipei based. The story should be more unique to Taipei and exclusive for Taipei, I would say. And also in this film, there are some weird use of Mandarin Chinese. If you have watched this movie, I have to tell you this: if you're in Taiwan, it's not normal that you talk to all the people on the road in Mandarin, in English. Gui Lunmei, the character of Gui Lunmei, who in this plot should have been grown up in Taipei for most of her life, but he's speaking English to Taiwanese, just people on the street, and I think it's such weird. But I think, anyway, this is a great international cooperation opportunities for Taiwanese film industry, because at the ending credits you can see that there are so many companies from Taiwan that have participated in the production of this movie, and I think it is a great experience for Taiwanese film industry, and of course even for our government, because our government helped them so much on getting the location for filming and all these things. I think these are great experience for Taiwan. So after all, I would still praise the production of this film. I would say even appreciation. Anyway, so this film is called Weekend in Taipei, 台北追妻令. And now I'm playing you a track about Taipei. This is from Ma Nianxian. This track is called 再见台北, Goodbye Taipei, on Radio Taiwan International. I hope you would, get a sense of Taipei, because actually Ma Nianxian is escaping Taipei. But anyway, if you know the lyrics, listen to it.
水溪，身上没有太多的行李，望着窗外复杂的心情，车上传来了便当的香气。再见台北，我的台北。有人想要 working stay， 我想留下来 long stay， 拼了老命 working。只有咖啡，一杯接着一杯。再见台北，我的台北。
This track is so interesting. It's called 再见台北. Goodbye Taipei by Ma Nianxian. I said it's interesting because it's basically talking about Taipei is such a, weird place, and I have very poor here, poverty, and right, that is Taipei. Perhaps that is Taipei. So leave Taipei if you want. You don't have to stay. Maybe you can just stay a weekend in Taipei, as the title of the previous film suggests. Alright, so welcome back to Cinematic Motif. Today we're talking about movies related to espionage, which is a fancy term for spy. Now, the next movie we're going to talk about is another film from the UK. So this film is called The Imitation Game, or 模仿游戏. This is a 2014 American 2014 biographical thriller film, also a historical film, directed by Morton Tilden and written by Graham Moore. It's based on the 1983 biography of Alan Turing. So, this film's title is a quote from the cryptanalyst. There are so many words that I cannot pronounce today. Okay. Anyway, from a very, very, I would say he's a very, very smart, almost like a computer scientist, but back in the time there were no computers. So, Alan Turing, he proposed this question: can machine think? And he proposed this question because Alan Turing is actually the one who invented the archetype of computers. Now, this film stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Alan Turing, who decrypted German intelligence messages for the British government during the World War II. And also we have Keira Knightley to stars as the lover of Benedict Cumberbatch, of Alan Turing actually. So this one is very, very interesting. So as I said, Alan Turing is the one who decrypted German intelligence messages during the Second World War. And that is because back in the Second World War, German military, they used this sort of machine called Enigma to encrypt their messages. So for the UK, for the British government, they want to decrypt these messages so that they can do some, protection, or, do some military actions in advance. So for these scientists, the mission is to decrypt these intelligence messages. And Alan Turing, who is so smart, he invented this machine called Christopher. He named after his lover in schools. So this machine called Christopher later becomes also known as our modern days computer. I once went to the Science Museum in London to see a machine, the Enigma machine there. It's really, really beautiful, but I couldn't see the Christopher, the computer that the Alan Turing has invented. So basically, this film is full of intelligence services and also this sort of, espionage thing. And even among the scientists, among the partners of Alan Turing, there was a spy. Actually, this is based on historical events, real historical events. Basically, it's wartime. It was wartime, okay? But I would say the saddest thing about this movie and the story of Alan Turing is that in 1952, Alan Turing is convicted of gross indecency. Basically, that is because Alan Turing is gay. As I said, Alan Turing had a lover back in school called Christopher, which he named as his computer. Christopher is male. He's man, okay? Very obvious. So, Alan Turing is convicted because of his sexuality. And then, he decides to go through chemical castration instead of prison, because he wanted to continue his work on research and academics. And eventually, Turing committed suicide on June 7th, 1954, after a year of government-mandated hormonal therapy. It wasn't until 2013 when Queen Elizabeth II granted him a posthumous royal pardon that he could, scrubbed away his claims and these accusations on him. Historians estimate that breaking Enigma shortened the war by over 2 years, saving over 14 million lives. But back in the time, after the war, all these files have been, stored away, and even Turing himself could not tell people what he had done during the Second World War. I think when you're doing intelligence services, when you're working for intelligence services, doing espionage, being a spy, oftentimes you couldn't get the acclamation that you deserved, because these are all secrets that will be hidden away for a very, very long time. That is the pity of being a spy, of working in intelligence services. Now let's play the film score composed by Alexandre Desplat, the original soundtrack from The Imitation Game, 模仿游戏。
Listen!
Are you listening?
This is the sound of my country.
This is the sound of Taiwan.
Taiwan, a small island with a whole world of sounds.
Hello, welcome back to Cinematic Motif. I'm Watson. Today we're talking about movies related to espionage. Now, we just talked about a film from the UK and also a film from Taiwan. Not the Taiwan, there's only one Taiwan. Anyway, our final film is from Sweden, but it's actually a film about Egypt. So we're talking about this film called Boy from Heaven, or sometimes known as Cairo Conspiracy. It's a 2022 Arabic language political thriller film directed by Swedish filmmaker Tariq Saleh. This film is actually a co-production between Sweden, France, and Finland, but as I said, this is a film about a story in Egypt. And this film, actually, it had its world premiere at the 75th Cannes Film Festival, and then it was selected to compete for the Palme d'Or, 金棕榈奖. And this film was also selected as a Swedish entry for the Best International Feature Film at the Oscars that year, but it was not nominated in the end. So this is a big film. This one basically talks about Adam, the son of a fisherman, who is offered the privilege to study at the Al-Azhar University in Cairo. He went through a lot of things. He goes through a lot of things back in the school. So, this university is actually the center of power of Sunni Islam, so 什叶教的这个 Islamic religion, and Adam becomes a pawn in the conflict between Egypt's religious and political elites. So basically, through this film, we can see that religion is probably not just religion. Okay, I know that this film probably offends some religious group. And that's why actually this film could not be released in Egypt itself because of that. But I think it's important because apparently we can see in news and all the times that religion is not just religion. And in a lot of these countries, like such as Egypt, religion and politics, they are together. And sometimes there will be intelligence services getting into these affairs and this may cause some problems. So this one is basically reflecting on this, and I think the most precious thing about this movie is that we get to see how this young boy, Adam, when he was asked to join the intelligence services, the conflict between his family, the friends, and his basically his commitment to the intelligence services, we can see all these struggles. And actually, Adam didn't want to join the service. He just wanted to read, he just wanted to study, he just wanted to be a student. But he has to go through all of these. That is a shame. Okay, and then secondly, what we can see in this film is that eventually Adam is actually thrown away by the country intelligence services. The head of the intelligence services only want to kill Adam because he knows too much. Now that reminds us of what happened in the previous movie, The Imitation Game, right? Your work will sometimes be forgotten because you're working for the intelligence services. And that is the sadness of being an intelligence service, or being a spy, I would say. Alright, so these are all the 3 films I have shared with you today. Boy from Heaven or Carrot Conspiracy, and also The Imitation Game and Weekend in Taipei. These are really good ones that can help you to get to know what these spies looks like and their works, and maybe the difficult side of their work. So I hope you'll go watch these 3 movies. Yeah. Alright, so that is all for our show today. As always, if you want to tell me something, please send your email to wanson@rti.org.tw. You can also follow me on my Instagram and YouTube. My handle is @wansonscfe. Final song for you today. I feel like that Adam in this movie, he's trying to change the world a little bit. But perhaps it's not his responsibility. It's not his responsibility to change the world. So I'm playing you this one, John Mayer and Waiting on the World to Change. Alright, so this has been Cinematic Motif. Thank you for tuning in. I'm back next week. Bye bye.
Waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's hard to be persistent when we're standing at a distance. So we keep waiting on the world to change. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on their door. And when you trust your television, what you get is what you got. 'Cause when they own the information, oh, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting on the world to change. We're still waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep on waiting on the world to change. No, we keep on waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting. We're waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change.
This is Radio Taiwan International.